I want to start the ultimate passion project. Well, I sort of already have. By the way, this isn't a tutorial or a launch, this is just me sharing something that I've been doing in my free time and sort of inviting you to come along. Because the truth is, I don't want to do it alone. I want to have someone to share it with. Now, I've started a lot of creative projects, but this one feels a little bit different. It scares me, in a good way, I guess. I mean, what happens when you care so much about something is a passion project, that you're even scared to begin? If you're a creative of any kind, you're probably familiar with the idea of starting 1,000 little side projects. And it would happen to me. I would start designs, illustrations, videos, all equally as exciting to create, but have nothing to do with each other. No story tying things together, no link other than the artist that created them. It was frustrating, and something had to change, and one day it did. And I know we're just meeting here. My name is Slava, by the way. I'm a graphic designer, sometimes illustrator, sometimes a poet, an occasional fool. And I've spent my career serving mostly corporate clients, and I'll always be thankful for that opportunity to do that. And at the end of the day, that's what sort of pays the bills. But that kind of work doesn't always scratch that creative itch, if you know what I mean. I always wanted to create and craft something a little bit more magical, something a little bit more fantasy-rooted. I've always loved good stories of adventure, of fantasy, magic. But more than that, I've loved how design can make these stories real. And the inspiration for this one came from there. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take a look at the Harry Potter movies, for example. Yes, J.K. Rowling wrote a beautiful story. It's painted with lovely characters, with a great villain, a great sense of conflict, and a fantastic universe. And the books on their own, they were great. But if you're a fan of the novels, remember the first time when you saw the movies? How magic became real with that first letter of acceptance to Hogwarts. Hold on, let me grab a few more things. Everything from his first acceptance letter to Hogwarts, the ticket to Hogwarts Express, the Daily Prophet newspapers, the sweets packaging, even Ministry of Magic branding, and all the bureaucratic paper crafts that had to go along with it. Someone had to create that for you to be able to fully immerse yourself into the story. By the way, this was a work of a studio from London called Mina Lima. It's a fantastic duo that created all the designs for the Wizarding World, which is the Fantastic Beasts and the Harry Potter universe. Their design helps build out this world and make it more real and tangible. And this was their book explaining all the creative work that went behind it. So if you're a graphic designer, an artist, or simply someone who appreciates the path that it takes to create something, this is a goldmine. You should check it out. When you look at the work of artists like that, and you have a peek into their creative thinking, into the creative process, and you can see how just simple concepts, simple ideas, through many iterations, can be transformed from exactly that, from a concept, and they become real things in your universe, something that is tangible, something that amplifies that feeling and immerses you into the story. And things like that really inspire me. So here I am, realizing that I want to design something like that, just for the fun of it. But I didn't want to redesign another Hogwarts or another Lord of the Rings stories for two main reasons. Number one is, how do you unlearn something that you've already seen and just start all over? Especially if it's something that you actually love, something that you actually enjoy, and you think it was really well designed. And the second problem is, well, copyright. And I know, there is a whole fan art industry out there, but I guess that's just really not for me. So to fill the void of that creative itch, I've been jumping from one idea to another. I've been creating fonts, poems, puzzles, prints, and it all felt chaotic. By the way, in one of the future episodes, we're gonna go over the difference between fonts and typefaces. There is actually a difference. This is just a little disclaimer so that my design nerds, former professors, and mentors don't eat me alive if they ever see this video. I digress. So I've been creating all of these things that had no logical place to exist until I asked myself, what if they all belonged to the same world? And this is where it hit me. World building. No, like we have to create this like fancy writing or something so it's more effective. Okay, world building. Now, I've heard of writers, storytellers, and tabletop role-playing game dungeon, TTRPG-DMs, tabletop role-playing game dungeon masters. Man, that's a mouthful to say. Writers, storytellers, tabletop, RPG, DMs, creating worlds of their own, where they craft worlds filled with lore, characters, creatures, locations, story arcs. And I'm thinking, I guess a graphic designer / illustrator / handsome dude can also make a world building project. Now, you know that feeling when you embark on a new creative project? I like to refer to it as the spark. Well, I really like that feeling, and I just need to find a way to keep it alive, to keep it sustainable, at least for the most part. Now, I knew I wanted a world building project. I wanted a universe. I've started one, and I call it the Order of Curiosities. So how do you start a world building project? Well, I thought I'm just gonna start simply with listing out keywords to sort of highlight what this world is supposed to feel like. And quickly, thoughts like fantasy, magic, adventure, obscureness, secret society, discovery, investigation, perhaps factions, and at the root of it, a good story of good versus evil. And at the heart of it, I knew I wanted to have this organization called the Order of Curiosities. It's a secretive magical society that is trying to preserve the fading spark of wonder and magic, against the odds of their conflict, which I still have to come up with, by the way. I mean, every good story needs a good villain, or 10 of them. So now, in a world where any form of meaningful or powerful magic is being persecuted by an unelected authority, claiming to be its protector and arbiter, the long-lost movement has resurfaced. A movement that is determined to reclaim what was lost and challenge the oppressive rule. And there is a long road of discovery, of understanding and organization ahead of them. But the ranks are quickly building up, the resistance numbers are growing, and secure structures and mechanisms are being put into place to ensure the success of their mission. Now, it's not fully built yet, and I think that's the beauty of it. I figured if we give it a rather loose but logical setting and plot, then we can truly lay groundwork to really have fun with it and create whatever we want that can all exist in the same place. So now comes the burning question of why do it now if I've been already working on it for a while? Well, for a while it has been living just in my head, rent-free. And I've been sharing it occasionally here and there, maybe streaming on Twitch or posting on social media, but it was just not satisfying enough. And in the end of the day, like I've mentioned before, I just don't want to do it alone. I want to create, to build, and to let others peek behind the curtain while it's all happening. And these series, they're not a tutorial, though I'm more than happy to share the process and the occasional creative discoveries and tips along the way. It's more of a trail of breadcrumbs through a world that is still being shaped. So what's coming next? Let's go to my workstation and I'll show you some of the ideas that I had in mind that I would like to explore in the future episodes. Now, there's countless ways of starting a world building project. And some people prefer to zoom in on one particular thing and try to figure it out. For example, the location and setting of their universe, or the magic system and all of its limitations. and they would work on it until they would flesh out the idea fully and then move on to the next thing. That's not my style, that's really not my approach. I like to do a little bit of everything. At the end of the day, that's why I started this project, so I can enjoy all the different facets of creating and building a world. I mean, come up with a herbalism and alchemy vendor? Sure. An interesting location or an event? Why not? Figure out modes of transportation in a magical world? Yeah, why not? So I'm sitting here and thinking what sort of thing I should work on. I mean, I do have plenty of things that I've already started. For example, I have the Carnival of Rust, which is a traveling troupe hiding something strange. It's run by Jeremiah Frouse, which is a man with a bizarre motive to organize said event. The place features many vendors and acts such as Segretti, the mask seller, Vangelia, the fortune teller, the maestro, who is a lone, mesmerizing musical entertainment act with a little bit of a twist, I guess. And then we have other things like the RMR, which is Ripple, Magigram, and Raven Mail, and it's sort of like an amalgamation of different magical mailing services that were combined to create a centralized system for mailing. And then we have things like the Spine Script Tales, mythological collection of magical stories, and I guess, yes, even in a magical world you can still have mythology. And then we have the story of Thomas Wanderley, who is a wand maker, and there's 1,000 stories about him, myths and legends, even though he denies it all. So there is an opportunity to explore what his shops are like, what his personal branding is like, what he looks like, maybe what kind of stories he tells. There are also various auxiliary projects, if I can name them that, projects that try to propel the universe forward. For example, I have the 100 book covers project, because one of the things I really enjoy is creating book covers, fantasy book covers, and I've made probably around a dozen for this world, and I would love to see that number grow to be 100 or even more. And in the future episodes, I would be really open to your suggestions as to what kind of books we should design and perhaps even the backstories behind them and their authors. And at the end of it all, I just want it to be as open-ended as possible and leave the door for exploration through creativity and see where that can take us. This project, it means a lot to me, and maybe too much sometimes. I think that's what made it hard to start. At times I'm scared it won't match the vision, it will fall flat. But I guess at the end of the day I just care too much about it not to begin. So if this world feels like something you might be interested in and you want to explore, you're invited. And before I end this video, I'd like to say something to myself and to anyone else out there carrying a project like this in their mind. Afraid to begin, afraid that it's not gonna match the vision. I've started this not to impress, but to express. This is not a performance, this is a presence. I don't need to be ready, I just need to be myself. I'm here to protect the spark. It's not a task, and it should never feel like a chore. It's a playground, or maybe a garden, one you tend with wonder, with story, with a little bit of me. And I forgive the gap between my vision and my reach and just let something grow in between. Something messy, something crooked, something real, alive, beautiful. What matters here is movement, not perfection. And dear God, dare I say it, I trust the awkwardness. I've stumbled about a dozen times trying to record just this one bit, but it's a step, somewhere, or towards something. I give myself permission not to know yet. I'm building a place, I'm building a tiny little universe, for me and for you to enjoy, for the spark, for the story, for the joy of making. Thank you for being here, it means the world to me. The first episode should be live on the channel already, so go ahead and check it out. And if you found a moment of joy, of entertainment or inspiration, just let me know. I would love to hear from you all. Thanks again, stay kind, stay curious, and go create something because it is absolutely worth it. I'll see you guys soon.